8058 or visit us on the web at superiораluminumdesign.com.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. I think you're going to like this next interview. It's interesting. We were just talking a little while ago about a news item that came out this morning from PC World, and they were talking about how the Tesla car will have, I guess, over-the-air upgrades. Or you know how your computer will every once in a while tell you, hey, we have something, an update for your software or whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, when these cars start driving themselves, as new things are available, you won't have to worry about, I guess, going to the store. They'll just upgrade by itself. I don't know if you have to pay for the other stuff. So here, for those who don't know where we are, we broadcast from the Paddock Mall. And obviously people pull up to the mall. We're part of the mall, but we're kind of right up against the curb, so we can see people parking. I'm not parking, but stopping, letting people off, and then somebody else goes and parks, and then they come. Well, in the future, the way this sounds, you won't do that. You'll just pull up to the curb. Everybody will get out of the car, and the car will just park itself.
Yeah.
and then when you come out of the mall, even if it's Christmas time where your car is parked a mile away, which is sometimes the way it is, it doesn't matter. You'll walk out to the curb, and the car will come and pick you up. It'll like valet service.
Exactly.
And at that point you say, well, why even bother driving at all? And of course, this is what everybody's talking about: is the autonomous, what do they call it? Autonomous driver car, whatever it is. Philip Donlay is on the phone. We have him scheduled for the full 25 minutes because there's so much information that he has that is interesting. Plus, he's written a book. So I want to be sure we get it all in. It says here, and I know you just changed my notes, it says a writer, he is a writer, that's obvious, but he earned his pilot's license at the age of 17.
Yes.
That's pretty impressive. He began flying jets at the age of 20. I still don't go over 40 miles an hour, by the way, in my car. He's logged more than 6 million miles. Obviously, he's been all around the world. And one of the things he wants to talk about is the fact that pilots have had this for a while, way longer than us car drivers. Mm-hmm. Where we've heard about the automatic pilot and all that stuff, right? I don't even know what it means, to be honest with you. But I mean, is a plane landing itself nowadays? I have no idea. And so you could understand that if something went wrong with your car trying to park itself, that wouldn't be good. Mm-hmm. But it's even worse when an airplane has something going wrong and there's a pilot sitting right there and could correct it.
Yes.
But maybe his or her skills have become rusty or whatever because of the fact that it hasn't been a while since they actually landed a plane on their own.
Yes.
And then, of course, he's got this book. It's called Aftershock. It is a thriller novel, and so we're going to talk about the book as well. But there are so many interesting things. So Philip Donlay is on for a while. Did you say he's on the West Coast?
I don't know where he's at.
Philip, good morning, Philip. How are you?
I'm good, Larry. How are you?
Are you on the West Coast?
I am on the West Coast. I'm out in the San Juan Islands.
Oh, okay. Where's that?
Oh, it's about halfway between Seattle and Vancouver. There's a little group of islands.
Oh, okay.
No one knows about, but now they do, I guess.
Yeah, we're going there.
Wow. So do you have interesting weather phenomenon there?
You know, it's kind of, I love it. It's boring. It's cool from the Pacific Ocean's cool, cloudy, rains a little bit. Kind of think Seattle, but not quite as wet. And but we don't have snow, so it snows up in the mountains, and it's just decorative. We don't have to deal with it. So it's a nice place to spend the winter. So this is where I spend my winters before I go on book tour.
Oh, okay. So you're going. So this is not your first book.
No, Aftershock is number 5.
Oh wow! And is the protagonist the same protagonist?
Yeah, there's the same core group of characters through the books, though they're all written as standalones. So you can jump in wherever you find the series and not be lost. So they're kind of designed that way.
So does Aftershock and do your other books include your experience as a pilot?
Absolutely. I think every every fledgling writer has to write what they know, and if you're lucky, you write what you're passionate about, and aviation is that for me. So I always have some sort of compelling flight component in all my books.
You know, the one thing that I wouldn't want as a driver of a car, well, maybe I would want it, I don't know. But before I started driving, I remember before I started driving, hearing these rumors that cars would drive themselves by the time I was driving, which didn't happen. Which, but just so you know, I'm 60 years old, so this was way back when I was hearing this. But I was thinking, gosh, I don't want that. I want to be able to drive. I was hoping it was not around.
Yeah.
Now, as I'm getting older, I'm thinking that wouldn't be bad. As a pilot, don't you just like flying? I mean, don't you like having hands on and actually being the one controlling the plane?
Well, we're about the same age, so I too had those fears when I was going to get my driver's license, and it's like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to drive and be cool. The computer's going to do it. But that didn't happen quite yet, and then, in the aviation business, it kind of has. I started in one of my very first jobs, other than being a flight instructor, was flying night cargo in an old airplane with no autopilot, no radar. It was all feel. And
was it fun?
Intermittently.
It's like driving.
Sometimes it was really fun. Sometimes it was really scary. But I did learn a lot. I will say that. And I think that, and it kind of came about slowly with the books as the first book, Category 5, came out like 10 years ago.
What was it called?
Category 5.
Category 5. Okay.
So, because I can reach the pilot community, I had a lot of readers that were pilots and of varying degrees of skill and experience. But I had a lot of them come up, and a lot of the younger pilots, they're like, wow, that, I really liked your book, but that couldn't really happen, could it? No one could really fly like that, could they? And the answer is they ought to be able to. I don't make it so impossible that it can't be done. So it kind of got me looking around. And as I watch, and the last airplane I flew was highly automated. They call it a fully integrated flight deck, where hand flying the airplane is discouraged.
Oh, my.
On a given leg, from Chicago to Miami or wherever you're flying, the total time that the captain is actually manipulating the controls is less than a minute.
Oh, gosh.
You take off. You do the takeoff manually. The pilot still has to do that. And then at 400 feet, you engage the autopilot and sit back and wonder what your lunch is going to be. So what we've got now is, there used to be this old adage where the modern cockpit of a major commercial jet is going to consist of a pilot and a dog. And the pilot is there to feed the dog, and the dog is there to bite the pilot if he tries to touch anything.
Oh my goodness!
Kind of there. We're kind of getting there, where we've seen a rash of accidents, and it's a segment of the commercial airline accident graph that isn't changing. It's not going down. We've got computers fly airplanes. Pilots fly computers. So
when the pilot who landed in the Hudson River, I mean, he did that himself, right? That wasn't a computer that did that.
No, and you know what? He was our age. So, and he was ex-military. And what you find is that older pilots with some gray hair is exactly what you want up front. In some of those instances. What he did was not all that miraculous, and I'll go on record as saying that. I think that an airline captain, under those conditions, 8 out of 10 of them should have been able to do that. He was lucky. He got it. He did it. He did it superbly. But I think 8 out of 10 could have done it and not hurt anybody.
See, I mean, I don't know anything about it, but I just looked at that and thought, wow, how come the water didn't tear that plane apart?
Mm-hmm.
It was so smooth that day. The water was smooth, and I've seen that. If you get a lot of waves, then you start bouncing and you start hitting things, at wingtips, and he had all the right conditions. But under those conditions, I think most pilots should be able to do that.
So I have a question about when a plane is landing at an airport and there are trees between where you want to land and where you are, I guess. Trees grow; they become taller, and if a computer doesn't account for that, I mean, it might just be a little bit, but you look at these videos online sometimes, and it looks like it's really got to be precision because of those trees. Does that ever get in the way? Do the trees ever grow to the point where the computer didn't account for it, and that causes a problem?
No. That at the airports where you're doing precision approaches with the flight management systems, it's the airport operator, and it's the authorities that run the airport that are ensuring that those trees are not up into a protected flight path. Just like radio towers, all those things they're checked all the time. We get and there are revisions to the charts, where sometimes they'll tweak the flight path to account for a new building going up to create the separation they need. So that's not really the problem. The problem that I'm seeing, or the tendency that I have been hearing about and unfortunately seen on TV, is the pilots that are so lulled into a sense of complacency by the automation, because it's incredibly reliable.
I bet that's going to happen with cars too. I bet complacency is going to be the word. We need to take a little break, and I hope you're not too frustrated that we're not talking about Aftershock, but we will when we come back. We'll be fair to the book. We'll find out who Donovan Nash is.
Yes.
And what the storyline is of the book. You got the phones ringing with this discussion about airplanes, so we'll take some calls too if that's okay with you. Philip Donlay, when we come back, in the islands in the Northwest America, what are they called again?
San Juan Islands.
San Juan. Mm-hmm. Sounds like Puerto Rico. or we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Today, very warm with sunshine and patchy clouds, along with a shower, a high of 82 to 88. Then tonight, clear to partly cloudy, a low of 59 to 67. Tomorrow, very warm with partial sunshine, a high of 81 to 87. And around out the weekend, Sunday, remaining warm with clouds and sunshine, a shower possible near the coast, a high of 83 to 87. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Evan Duffy.
Gene Powell Pasture Mowing. Our tractor services include bush hog, disking, front-end loader, box blade, and stump grinding. We also have zero-turn mowers for the smaller paddocks, aisleways, fence rows, and lawn care. Fence row spraying is also available for weed control. We are licensed and insured. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing, 352-629-2440, or online at powellgene, Gene, at yahoo.com. Gene Powell Pasture Mowing.
Legally Yours, brought to you by Fuller & Fuller Attorneys at Law. On the air every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. with John Fuller, a board-certified civil trial lawyer for over 25 years. John welcomes your questions, from business to complex family matters to legal disputes. So tune in every Wednesday morning at 10:30 a.m. for Legally Yours with John Fuller, right here on WOCA 1370 a.m. and 96.3 FM, The Source.
My name is Erica Olstein. I'm a doctor of acupuncture and oriental medicine at A Better You Healthcare's Pokin' for the People Community Acupuncture. Join us every Monday at 4 p.m. for a relaxing and therapeutic community acupuncture session with like-minded, health-conscious individuals from our community. Pricing is only $35. Group sessions involve yoga breathing and acupuncture for the benefit of stress, anxiety, and depression. Unwind and start your week off right. If stress is leaving you a mess, you need a checkup from the neck up. When you're feeling blue, come to A Better You. A Better You Healthcare, just behind the Paddock Mall on 27th Avenue. For further details, visit abetteryouhealthcare.com or call 615-5566. Again, that number is 615-5566.
All right, 12 minutes before 10 o'clock. You know, I was just thinking, when I was much younger, growing up in New York, I would look at the commuters. My dad was a commuter on the train, and so many people you see reading books or newspapers. And I was thinking, in today's world, you can get work done as you're commuting because the train obviously is under somebody else's control. If you were a writer and a pilot and the plane was flying itself, you could actually write while you were flying instead of just being inspired of what to write once you landed. I don't know. I would be so distracted. I'd be so nervous if this ever happens for cars. I don't know. Philip Donlay is on the phone. He is an author and has written several books. We're going to talk about one of them right now. It's called Aftershock, a Donovan Nash thriller novel. And let's just make sure he's still there. Philip, you still with us?
I'm still here.
I just went to Google Maps, by the way, and I looked at the islands you're on. It looks like a pretty area. Before we talk about the book, can I give you? Can we take a phone call?
Absolutely.
All right. Good morning. Thank you for calling. You're on the air with Philip.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. I used to live on Long Island, much like Larry did, and the Republic Aviation plant was on Long Island. And Carl Bellinger was test flying the F-105 one day, and it flamed out just as he was taking off. He got the thing up and over the commuter highway and dropped it in the cemetery and walked away from it.
Oh, wow.
Gosh.
You know, there's no computer in the world that knows how to do that.
Yeah, similar to the Harrison Ford story, right? I mean, that he would have been dead, right, if a computer was running everything.
Well, and what happens is when the computers malfunction, and they do, the pilots, and it's such a phenomenon because pilots are now so tuned to get the computer up and running that they'll actually reach for the buttons to try to reprogram the thing for the controls
instead of flying it. Oh, wow.
Fly airplane, and it doesn't take, if you're up at 38,000 feet, it doesn't take long for that airplane to get out of control if something massive has happened. You know, and you're all of a sudden you're upside down, or you've stalled the airplane, or it's stalled itself before you. And this is not things that they train or really can realistically train in the simulators. So now we've got a pilot who has flown, 10 minutes in the last month in terms of actual hands-on time, and he's overwhelmed, and we've seen crashes from that. So I think every pilot should be able to fly like Donovan Nash, and we can just read about these adventures instead of watching them on TV.
That is a great segue. So let's learn about Donovan Nash. Who is Donovan Nash?
Donovan Nash is, I'm a big reader. I think everybody that writes has to be, and I grew up, reading Alistair MacLean and Wilbur Smith and Clive Cussler, and so I kind of had an idea who my character needed to be. He needed to be very capable. He needed to be smart. He's a pilot, and he's used to be someone else. He has a secret. He changed his identity due to some mistakes he made back early in his life. So he's always kind of looking over his shoulder, and he's also kind of paying the price for leaving all of those people behind. So he's got some issues. He's a complicated man, but he's the guy you want coming to your rescue if you need to be rescued. So with that, think of a Clive Cussler character mixed with a Wilbur Smith character, and what I didn't want to do is I didn't want him to have like ninja skills or special forces training. I want him to be. He and I kind of have the same skill set. He's taller and is way better looking.
That's funny.
But we're both about the same smart, and we both have the same kind of aviation skills. So that's kind of that's the only two places we actually line up. So armed with that, I put him in charge of a scientific research organization. I'm always fascinated by science and natural disasters especially. So this organization is called EcoWatch, and all stories start with EcoWatch. We deal with a hurricane. We deal with blizzards. That's the second book, is Code Black, is the massive blizzard in Chicago and an airplane that needs a little help. Then we have Zero Separation, which is not as much natural disaster as it is a terrorist kind of impending disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And then last year's Deadly Echoes was an eco-terrorism thriller, and Aftershock, which just came out 2 weeks ago, is if you look at the cover, it's got a volcano and it's got an hourglass, and time is indeed running out for our heroes as they try to save one of their own that has been kidnapped in Guatemala.
My goodness, like today's news.
Is there?
No, I don't mean specifically. I mean that kind of thing. You know, kidnapping and ransoms and hostages. Yeah.
Yeah, it's rampant.
The character Lauren is a good match for him because he is human. They seem to have a little bit of fun in your book, and they're always like testing each other.
Well, it is an interesting, and that has evolved. Some of this is not by my design. I'd like to take credit for all of it, but sometimes characters just evolve, and then you meet. I've been writing for 15 years, and you meet interesting people, and you go, I wonder if I could incorporate that aspect of, So my friends are all mad because they think that anything I write that's crummy I got from them, and then they want to take credit for all the cool characters I write. So it's kind of a, I have to just change the names, change the looks. But Lauren is, I like her because she's evolved she's the smartest person in the room, wherever she is. And Donovan is kind of like just, let's go in and let's take names and fix this. And she's more like, well, let me think about it for just a minute. There might be a better way. And so they do complement each other. And they have this kind of star-crossed romance. So it's an element that I like, and it seems to work because a lot of people are comfortable talking about the Donovan Nash thrillers, and I've had people come up, mainly women, come up to me at book signings and say, I sure hope you keep writing these Dr. Lauren McKenna series.
Well, and that's going to be my question. When you started writing, did you realize the importance of putting romantic elements into your novels?
Well, I think you have to have that because there's it's there in real life, so it's got to be there in the book. Unless you're Tom Clancy and you write The Hunt for Red October and there's not a single woman in the book. Mm-hmm. It's phenomenal. He did a great job, but. So I think you have to have that. What I didn't expect was the twists and turns in their relationship.
And when you were shying away from taking credit, what you were basically saying is the characters write themselves?
Well, they grow, and story components grow. When I write a book, I have a roadmap. I know where I'm going to end up, but sort of what happens in the middle, I'm not always real clear about. And as I write the book, those elements become a little more clear, and then sometimes I get to a page and in my head it's going to go one way, and then all of a sudden I type something else, and so I've startled myself from doing that at times.
Wow, I love that. I mean, that just sounds like what it sounds like. It sounds like you're enjoying it. Does that ever happen when you're flying, where you end up going somewhere else? No, that doesn't happen. If it does, you've been hijacked, right?
Well, not necessarily, but there are airliners that have landed at the wrong airport, and that's just got to be monumentally embarrassing.
But you also really have that huge human element, especially in Donovan, because he is surprised at some of he himself, his character is surprised at some of the revelations in the book that he finds out throughout the story, and that really endears the reader to him, I believe.
Well, that's interesting. Because that's what I hope to do, and hope to portray. And when you're sitting in the at the laptop in the middle of the night trying to pound out these keys and make it make sense, I appreciate that it actually does work. He's been a tortured character, and I wanted to finally, in Aftershock, kind of give him a little break. I need to lighten up on the poor guy. So he needed some of the answers to some of the questions of his past, and he found it in an unlikely scenario, in that this woman he set out that he thought was the kidnapper turned out to be his savior, in terms of information she knew about his past. So it was a quick, there's just it is an emotional kind of roller coaster. I like books like that.
I'm guessing that for the listeners right now who are already familiar with your work, Philip, they're probably happy to hear us having you on the air. And those who have never heard of your work are probably instant fans, as we are. Philip Donlay is our guest. The book is called Aftershock. I have a copy. It's actually not for sale, uncorrected proof, so you get kind of a collector's item.
Cool.
Call me if you want the one that was sent to us. You can have it. The rest of us have to go buy it. Do you have a website, Philip?
I tell you, what I'd like to do is, I do have a website. It's www.philipdonlay.com. And how about the first 3 people to send me an email and mention the call sign of the radio station will get a free signed hardcover copy.
Wow. All right, what's the email?
How nice.
It's Phil, Phil, at philipdonlay.com.
Okay, Phil at philipdonlay.com. So the first 3 mention WOCA, and you get a free signed hardcover copy. And do I have someone down here that wants this one? Good morning. Is there somebody there?
Yeah, this is Jim.
Jim, all right, you got the one we got, okay?
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. And 3 more can get a free one. Thank you, Philip. Thank you for being on the air. I'm guessing Amazon and elsewhere is where you can get the other books as well as this one, correct?
Yeah, they're all everywhere. Category 5, the very first one is out of print. We're working on that.
Okay.
But it is an ebook platform, so it's available all the places where you can load up your tablet.
Philip, thank you for being on the air with us. This is WOCA Ocala.
As a French person dies from his wounds.
The gunman appeared to avoid shooting locals by saying "lower your heads" in Arabic. The Interior Ministry's top official saying the assailants left Tunisia in December to receive weapons training in Libya before returning to Tunisia. The official maintaining it's unclear with which group the insurgents trained.
Fox Radio's Jessica Gallagher. British court giving a